All right. Hi, everyone. So we are going to be setting up our air pollution lab today. So what we're going to need from your lab kit are some Petri dishes. I'm choosing 3 Petri dishes here. You're also going to need your little tub of Vaseline. You can also grab your Q-tip. We're also going to need some blue tape, and we're going to cut them up into small strips. If you don't have blue tape, you can use regular tape. Just this blue tape is easier to come off of the Petri dishes. And then optionally, you can use things like scissors if you want to use that to cut your blue tape. You can use pieces of paper, which we can make as signs for a little bit later. And of course, like a napkin or anything like that that you might need. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's see how this is set up. So the main thing here that we want to do is we want to be able to collect air particles and whatnot. So the idea is that I want to make sure we can have the particulates stick into the Petri dish. So if you take a look at our Petri dish, you can see that there's a little bit of a top cover and then the bottom base. The top cover just comes off. We're going to put the Vaseline in this bottom part here. So let's go ahead and take the top off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Vaseline, and you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either use a Q-tip or you can use your finger, but you want a very, 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 very thin layer of Vaseline all along the Petri dish here. So I'm going to go ahead and do one with the Q-tip, and then I'll go ahead and do one with my finger so that you can see. But again, really, really thin layer, and you want to cover the entire base of the Petri dish, because again, this is what's going to help the air particles stick to our Petri dish. So by the end, it looks something like that. And again, super thin layer on that. Once you finish, make sure you cap it and cover it right away. So I've got that one done. I've got this one done. Let me go ahead and do one with my finger so that you can see. And let's go ahead and switch the cam view. Bam, right here. So we've got this Petri dish. Again, I'm going to take the cover off. This time, I'm just going to take a little bit onto my finger and I'm going to rub it all along here. And again, super thin layer all the way across. And in fact, I feel like the finger method works better because it actually makes it a tiny bit more smoother. It's a little bit easier to control the Vaseline. And you can definitely get a super thin layer there. Okay, great. So once that is done, again, don't forget to close it, cap it, cover it, all of that good stuff. All right, great. So we've got our thin layer of Vaseline on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set these up to actually be used and for us to remember where these are. So in case you haven't already, go back to your experimental design and figure out where exactly you want to place these, but we want to make sure we label them. So for example, I'm going to write on my little tape here where I'm putting it, what it represents, and then I'm also going to put down the dates for that I'm like testing it for, so that I already know. So I'm going to put this on the top there, and it's going to be on the cap, right? So I'm putting that label on the cap there. And then once I've done that, I also want to just kind of make sure the Petri dish stays closed. So what I can do is I can actually just take a piece of tape and put it on the top and around the sides and the bottom, just so that it sticks there. So that way it can hinge open if I need to. And again, the nice thing about blue tape or even masking tape is that this is easy to peel off. So here's kind of my finished project there. I've got my label and then I've got the tape kind of making sure that nothing gets inside of it there. Great, and then I've got another one. So you're gonna do this for all 3. again, really thinking about your experimental design here, right? So I might have one that I put as my control. And this one, I'm going to say, do not open, because this is what I want to test it against, right? And again, the same thing, put my dates on there. So this one is my control, and I'm going to say, do not open this until we take our data. Beautiful. So I've got my 3 Petri dishes all set up. The important part about labeling is so that we don't forget where these were when we go to actually take our data. Now what you're going to do is you're going to set these up around your apartment, your place, your home, and you're going to put them where you said. So this one I said I'm going to put in the living room. So I'm going to find a spot in the living room where I want to keep this. I'm also going to find a spot, say, in the bathroom where I want to keep this. And when you do this, what you're going to do is when you are officially starting your experiment, you are going to open up the Petri dish and you're going to let it sit open just like that. So I've got it open like this. So basically, if anything will catch into the Petri dish, we'll be able to see it in terms of particles, and that's what we're going to calculate and count later. Another useful thing, because I've had families throw these away because they didn't know what exactly they were, making a little sign that says, I don't know, Sam's science experiment, do not touch, and then putting that nearby wherever it is that you are putting this, right? Because you might have them in random places, like in the bathroom, is super helpful to have a sign like that. So what you're going to do is you are not going to touch or do anything with these. We're going to keep these out for several days. And then once we are ready to collect our data, we are going to close these back up. And then we're going to head over to the next video about how are we going to actually collect the data, figure out what types of pollutants there are, and then draw conclusions from that. Cool. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, super easy setup with these 3 Petri dishes. Feel free to do several if you'd like, up to 5 different places for your own enjoyment. All right. Nice job.